Bubba Wallace. On Sunday, Wallace became the first black driver to win a race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, home of the Indy 500. The 31-year-old Wallace won NASCAR's Brickyard 400 Cup race. He was blazing the track in a Toyota Camry XSE. Wallace, a native of Mobile, Alabama, won his first race on the NASCAR circuit since 2021. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you, thank you.
Work it, make it, do it. Makes us harder, better, faster, stronger. That don't kill me, can only make us stronger. I need you to hurry up now, cause I can't wait much longer. I know I got to be right now, cause I can't get much stronger. Man, I've been waiting all night now, that's how long I've been on ya. Let's get lost tonight.
I'm Tavis Smiley. Glad to have you with us in this third and final hour of our program today. Two conversations as promised. On the B side of this hour, we'll talk to Tyanna Watts, creator of Blaque N Kulture, about Comic-Con last weekend. There were a lot of black folk, I think perhaps more than ever, who appeared this year at Comic-Con. If you don't know what Comic-Con is, you should. It's a huge gathering. We'll tell you all about Comic-Con in a moment here. But a lot of black folks showed up this week, last week. Queen Latifah introduced George Lucas. So that was a big moment at Comic-Con. But there are a lot of black folk who were there. It's a major, major gathering, and we'll clue you in about that as we move through this hour. So we'll talk to Tyanna Watts, again, the creator of Blaque N Kulture, on the backside of this hour. We commenced this hour, though, in conversation with Roye Okupe, founder of YouNeek. That's spelled Y-O-U-N-E-E-K. I like that. Y-O-U-N-E-E-K, YouNeek Studios. He'll take us inside Iyanu, which is the #1 series. Imagine it's now a black man has the #1 series on the Cartoon Network. We'll talk about his appearance at Comic-Con himself over the weekend in San Diego. But before I get to this conversation about Iyanu, let me give you the trailer for Iyanu.
SO Warriors, form up! Absolute power!
There is only one hope for the people of Yoruba land. The Chosen.
My name is Iyanu.
I thought the Chosen would be taller.
As the Chosen, you have a trinity of powers: unnatural, natural, and supernatural.
She must prove herself.
The land isn't getting any less cursed while you try to discourage me.
Trust your instincts. This is what I have been training you for.
And discover the source of her powers.
Team Chosen. I like that. Team Chosen.
You can do this. One big leap.
For a chance to return her people to a new age of wonders.
How was that?
Iyanu, new series, premieres Saturday, April 5th at 9:30 on your Cartoon Network.
And it is running right now on the Cartoon Network. That was the trailer for when it was about to premiere. But it's up and running. And as I mentioned, not just up and running, it is the #1 series on the Cartoon Network. So, Roy, I offer this as my initial question. How does a brother born in Lagos, Nigeria, speak of coming to America, come to America and end up with the #1 series on the Cartoon Network.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me, Tavis. It's a wonderful, wonderful honor, wonderful pleasure. But to answer your question, I mean, how much time do you have? I mean, if I have to tell my full story, we'll be here all day. But to summarize, I am very humbled. I feel very lucky. And honestly, I think it's really a team effort. There's so many people working behind the scenes to support my vision as a showrunner on this very, very amazing and much needed show. So I'm just really excited, humble, grateful. And, I can't wait for people who haven't checked it out to check it out. And people who obviously are fans now to see, all the stuff that we're yet to bring to the table as well.
I'm going to circle back to your backstory. You ain't getting off that easy, brother. We're gonna learn more about this journey from Nigeria to America. Before I do that, though, we played the trailer, but for those who have not seen it, tell me what the series Iyanu is about.
Absolutely. So Iyanu, it's an action-adventure fantasy show. The story takes place in Yoruba land, and for people that don't know, Yoruba land is actually a place that exists in Nigeria, which is where I was born and raised. And we follow Iyanu, who is this 14-year-old teenage orphan girl who loses all her memories, and she realizes that she has the powers of the gods of her land. And it's only these powers that can save everyone from what we call the corrupt, which are essentially animals who have gone berserk. They have red glowing eyes, and they have just one mission, which is to destroy humanity. So Iyanu goes on this journey with her friends, Bee, Toy, and Ekon, to discover where she's from and how to control her powers. But where it gets interesting for us is our show is really about empathy, right? That's a core theme in everything that we do. And for Iyanu, being a hero, she needs to learn that empathy isn't just an emotion that you have for people that love you. But the mark of a true hero is having empathy for those that don't necessarily even agree with you.
Yeah.
Because when her powers come to light, she's actually ostracized, she's exiled. She isn't heralded as a hero, as a demigod or anything, because people fear what they don't understand. So Iyanu needs to make a decision with this great power that she's been given. Does she use it to just move herself forward? Or does she bring everybody else with her and save everyone, including the people who exiled her, including the people who don't necessarily agree with her or understand where she's coming from or think like her? So we feel like it's a story that resonates with everything going on even today for kids and adults, because we live in a world that can use a lot more empathy right now.
No question about that. What age is Iyanu in the series?
She's 14.
14, okay. When we come forward, I want to ask this question because I am fascinated by this. And when I got turned on to Iyanu and started watching the series, I was struck by the fact that, again, this series has become the #1 series on the Cartoon Network. But this is a rarity. It's a rarity. We were talking last week. Let me just connect some dots right quick. We were talking last week on this program, Roy, about the passing of my friend Jamal Warner of The Cosby Show. And I made the point, reminded the audience, for those who weren't around all those years ago, that Cosby pitched that show to every network. And every network literally turned Bill Cosby down. More than once, they turned Bill Cosby down. Brandon Tartikoff at NBC finally had the wisdom to give this show a shot, to give it a chance. And it completely changed the fortunes of NBC. It changed television. It made Bill Cosby as America's father, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It made stars of all that cast, and everybody has their favorite Cosby episodes. But that black show changed NBC, an entire network. It changed the face of television and ran for 8 seasons and #1 for most of those seasons. But that black story, again, a rarity, fundamentally changed television as we knew it then. Here's a series that is rooted in African culture, Yoruba, Iyanu, and it's #1 on the Cartoon Network. That is arresting for me. And I want to ask Roy why he thinks that is the case. You're listening to Roye Okupe, and I'm glad about it on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Give people what they want.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we aim to foster enlightening, sustainable, restorative dialogue, and we welcome unapologetically progressive viewpoints that empower fellow citizens. We are now accepting submissions for KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorials like this one.
For the KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorial, I'm Martin Gordon, chair of the Pasadena Community Coalition. Recently, I listened to a Tavis Smiley show conversation with James Falk. James said something that caught me off guard. Black Altadena is gone. My community is being murdered. I said murdered.
All you have to do is go to our website homepage at KBLA1580.com and click on the icon that says KBLA Guest Editorials to learn more about our editorial standards and content submission guidelines. As long as the topic aligns with our mission, we are happy to review your submission and consider it for broadcast. We can't make any promises, but we want to amplify progressive perspectives that are community-focused and solution-oriented. So, go to KBLA1580.com right now to download all the information you need about our guest editorials. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley, Roye Okupe. He's the founder of YouNeek Studios. Once again, spelled YOUNEEK. Love that. YouNeek Studios. Taking us in this half hour inside his #1 series on the Cartoon Network called Iyanu. So I was saying to Miles, my board out, I'm always talking to Miles during the breaks. I said to Miles, isn't this an amazing story, man? This brother comes from Lagos, Nigeria to America. He got the #1 show on the Cartoon Network. What do you make of that? And Miles said,
Man, have you seen the American-made cartoons these days? What? I'm not surprised. It only makes sense. It's our imagination at these days as Americans.
Yeah, what's wrong with American cartoons?
I mean, I'm not the expert here, but I mean, they're kind of vulgar. The animation style is pretty all similar to the other ones. The storylines aren't original. The imagination is under attack right now in America, so I'm not surprised that Nigeria has the #1 cartoon over here.
Yeah. So, Roy, what say you about how imaginative you've been in this storytelling, and that being one of the keys to why it is the #1 cartoon on the #1 series on the Cartoon Network, even though it's rooted in African culture?
Yeah, I mean, I think, a lot of times we talk about, oh, this show is different, or, my story is different. And, sometimes that's the case, but sometimes it's not. And I think for us, like, we truly have a show that isn't like anything you've seen before.
Right.
Obviously, there is the incorporation of the authenticity to African culture, Nigerian culture, specifically, but where else could you see a show where all the fighting styles are mostly inspired by capoeira, not kung fu, right? Where do you see a show where the characters are eating jollof rice, and not burgers or things like that, And I mean, obviously these things are very cosmetic, but at the same time, they're all surrounding what I feel like we have a story that feels not only familiar but fresh at the same time. Like I said, empathy is a big thing in our show. And I think all of these things combined is what people are really responding to. And I need to take a second to also shout out Lionforge Entertainment, who is obviously the producer and the animation studio, behind this. For those that don't know, Lionforge was the company that won the Oscar animated short for their short film Hair Love a few years ago. And one of the things that Lionforge did for us, and for me in particular as showrunner, is gave us the freedom and the flexibility to express ourselves and tell a truly authentic story that wasn't just authentic to the culture that we were representing, but authentic to ourselves. They allowed us as creators to express ourselves in a way where you can actually truly get something that's, you can see the passion in the writing, in the directing, in the character designs. Every aspect of the show has something where everybody has put themselves in, but we also obviously have that overall, with not necessarily going outside of what our mandates to do something that Africans and Nigerians can be proud of, but at the same time, something that could resonate with the global audience as well.
Talk to me, as you see it, Roy, about Afrofuturism and Black representation in the superhero space.
I mean, I think, we have all these keywords: Afrofuturism, diversity, authenticity. All of these things are great, but at the end of the day, nothing trumps a story that's original. Nothing trumps a story that's true to the people that are creating the story. And nothing trumps great characters. And I think for us, yes, we do want to incorporate all of these different things that people see as buzzwords and people are sort of enamored about, like Afrofuturism. But at the end of the day, it goes back to the thing that I feel like really encapsulates what people love, which is great characters, great stories that they can relate to, no matter where these characters come from, no matter where these characters live. I fell in love with Spider-Man not because he was American or he lived in New York. I fell in love with him because of his values. I fell in love with him because I could relate to being bullied, as well in high school and wanting to do something about that. So for us, as much as all these things are great, we never want to lose sight of what truly matters, which is great characters, great storytelling.
Tell me why and how empathy became the epicenter for you.
I mean, look at our world now. I mean, for me, it's like I turned 40 a couple of weeks ago, and so
happy belated birthday, my friend.
Thank you. I've been on this earth for a few years, and I think our world is sort of going backwards in a way where, as human beings, our first instinct when anything happens is to point fingers, blame each other, fight each other, separate ourselves into silos and say, you are my person, you are not my person. And I think we're sort of losing the role that empathy plays in a society, which isn't necessarily tolerating bad behavior, but at the same time, empathy is about putting yourself in another person's shoes. Again, even when that person has a different opinion or something else that reads differently, for them. I think we've lost the spirit of discourse and healthy, conversations about differences. And I think, it may sound idealistic. I think we just need more empathy for us to grow as a species and for us to come out of this age of just barking at each other, fighting each other, just vitriol. And to me, I think obviously social media has a lot to do with that, but I wanted to create a story where even though there was conflict in the world and people didn't agree, they always found a way to use empathy to figure out the next steps on how to move forward.
Yeah. I take your point, and I think you're right. I know you're right. That great characters always wins. You got great characters, you got a great place to start. So I take that point, and yet I can't imagine there isn't a particular joy that you feel about being able, how might I put this, to put a shinier and softer light on African culture, specifically that of Nigeria.
Absolutely. As somebody who grew up on the continent and watched um, different ways that we were presented to the global audience by just shining a light on the negative stuff like poverty or the corruption. And it's not that these things don't exist, but for me, I've always been a big fan of like paint the entire tapestry, right? Like show the good, the bad, and the ugly, and let people be able to appreciate a culture for all its different sides. Like there is no country that's perfect. There is no country that has it all figured out. So personally, I got tired of seeing images of my culture and my people only, expressed in a negative sense. And I wanted to do something about it. And I think a lot of times we underestimate the power of entertainment. A lot of people, their first exposure to other cultures and other people from other places is through entertainment. It's through watching TV and seeing how people are represented. And sometimes, if people are represented in a way that's not accurate, it forms, these different tropes and these different just assumptions that people have about different cultures. So I think it's important for people of certain cultures to be able to have the ability to show who they are, all facets of who they are, and not just focus on the negative side. So this was a very proud moment for me creating Iyanu and being able to be in a position of creative control to tell a story that showed all the sides of my culture, the beauty, the things that are not necessarily so beautiful that, that could be improved, but just presenting it in a way that was authentic and true to where I grew up and the culture that I grew up around.
It is not just that Iyanu is the #1 series on the Cartoon Network. That'd be a huge feat by itself. But wait for it. It's already been picked up for season 2 at the Cartoon Network and on Max, alongside 2 new feature spinoffs. That's what you call winning. Talk to me about. So, congrats on the pickup, #1, Roy. But talk to me to the extent you can about these 2 new feature spinoffs.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're super excited, but I think a lot of credit has to go out to the fan base. Like, from the moment we've launched, all of these different accolades, all of these different successes that we've been talking about, it goes back to the fans supporting us. So we're really excited for people to be able to anticipate the season 2. But not only that, we also have, like you said, 2 feature films, animated films that will be launching on Cartoon Network and HBO Max. The first, the teaser for the first one actually just dropped at Comic-Con, so people can check that online on YouTube right now on social media. But it's called The Age of Wonders, and it basically takes us 500 years back from the events of season 1, and we get to see how this world was, how magic was birthed into this world of Yoruba land, and how Iyanu, who is our main character, why she's so important to not just mortals, but also the gods of the land as well. So if you like things like Greek mythology or Norse mythology, like Thor, Zeus, and all these different characters and mythologies we've fallen in love with, this would be something that you would definitely love. And you get to see it told from an African perspective. Everybody knows about Thor and Zeus and, like I said, Greek mythology and Norse mythology. We are introducing a pantheon of African gods that anybody from any part of the world would definitely be excited to see. And we get to also now tie that into season 1 for people that have watched it, as well. So it's really exciting to be able to expand the universe of Iyanu and to be able to tell more stories and to be able to be in a position of success that actually warrants us to continue. So I just want to encourage the fans to keep on supporting us, because without them, we don't get to continue to tell these stories.
Yeah. You mentioned Comic-Con. I wanted to go there. Speaking of going there, did you get there this weekend? And if so, what did you make of the experience?
I mean, it was great. I was there from Friday to Sunday. I came back, sick. So that's always something that I don't look forward to. But no, it was really cool to be at our panel. I think for us, this was the first time we've been at Comic-Con after our show has launched. So to get to interact with the fans and to hear them say, "Oh, I love this episode and I can't get enough of this character and I can't wait to see what comes in season 2." Like, now that people are actually watching it, excited about what's to come, can't wait for the next season and the movies. It was really good to be able to interact with them, and also to be able to interact with all the other people from the crew, like Brandon Easton, our story editor, was there, Vincent Edwards, our supervising director, Kerry Grant, who was in the writer's room. We were all on the panel, and it was great to see everybody. And like I said, a lot of credit goes to the massive team of hundreds of people from different parts of the world who has worked to bring Iyanu to where it is today, and without them, honestly, none of this would be possible.
I love your graciousness. It comes through loud and clear. Comic-Con is a big deal. We'll talk more about it on the backside of this hour, but to be invited to be on a panel at Comic-Con is high cotton, as we say at our neck of the woods, and so I congratulate Roy on that. I told you weren't getting off that easy. I've got 3 minutes left, and I want to circle back. You thought I forgot, didn't you? I don't forget, man. This is what I do every day. I don't forget stuff like this. He thought he was off the hook. I want to circle back to Lagos, Nigeria. I can't imagine. Maybe you were in the 3 minutes I have left here. I can't imagine you were doing this. Maybe you were, but is this what you were dreaming about in Lagos? Having a number one series on the Cartoon Network?
I mean, honestly, no, because I grew up, in a time where you didn't see a lot of creators like myself doing things like this. So it never felt like I was, somebody that would be able to do it because I didn't see it. It's one of the reasons why the position I'm in now is very important, because it's important for people to see me doing this. It's important for kids that look like me to see characters that look like them, not only on the screen being the heroes or being the characters driving the story, but behind the scenes as well, creating, showrunning, producing, directing. They need to be able to see it's possible, because I guarantee you, I didn't think it was possible until I got here to the United States in 2002, and I started meeting some creators. They weren't a lot back then. I started meeting some people who are doing it and doing it successfully, and that gave me the courage to then go out and say, you know what, if they can, then I can. So I want to encourage anybody out there. You've been dreaming about doing this. You need to define what your version of success is, because that's different for everybody. And take a chance on yourself, and don't be afraid to fail, and hopefully everything falls in place for you.
Yeah. How's your family processing all of this success from Lagos to Hollywood, yeah.
Everybody's excited, and I won't be here, obviously without the support of everybody in my family, from my parents and obviously my wife. I call my wife, she's my secret weapon. She's the one that hears me cry, so like when things are not going well, encourages me and keeps moving me forward. But one of the most important things for me is that my dad passed away in March. He was one of the biggest supporters for me. And he was one of the first people that told me, you know what, Roy, you can do it. And hearing that from my father was one of the biggest boosts for me in terms of believing in myself. So everything I do from now on is to honor my dad and the belief in me that he gave me.
No, I know what you're feeling, man. I just lost my dad last year, and so I'm still.
So sorry.
No, I mean, my condolences to you. Yours is more recent than mine. What did it mean for you, though, for your father to have lived long enough to have seen this success take off?
It's an amazing story. I feel, and I think I've said this before in another interview, like I feel like the luckiest person in the world. Honestly, getting to have your show air one of the top streamers and top networks in the world, honestly, is it's not an everyday thing. It's a rarity. So to be able to do that and experience some of that success while it was here, after the courage and the confidence that he had given me, was nothing short of a blessing, and I will hold on to that for the rest of my life.
I know your father's proud of you. Roye Okupe was off and running, number 5 on Venture Africa's list of 40 African innovators to watch. 2 years in a row on New Africa Magazine's 100 most influential Africans to watch. 2021 nominated for the Dwayne McDuffie Award for Diversity in Comics, meant to honor commitment to excellence and inclusion, and he's doing just that with Iyanu, the number 1 series on the Cartoon Network, now renewed for a second season, also on Max, and now there are 2 new feature spinoffs coming. I ain't mad at you, Roye Okupe. How you found time to talk to me with all that busy stuff on your schedule, I don't know, but I'm grateful for the opportunity, sir. Thank you for the time, and congratulations.
Thank you so much, Tavis. I appreciate you.
It's my great honor. I appreciate you. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
I
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. New York authorities say the Midtown gunman who killed 4 left a note blaming football and CTE for his mental health. Here's New York City Mayor Eric Adams' comments.
Hats off to the men and women of the New York City Police Department and our partners for immediately going in the building, going floor by floor, doing a search.
Shane Tamura, a former high school football star, targeted the NFL's office building before taking his own life. For the second time in a week, Texas Democrats have left the state, this time to New Mexico, to protest GOP-led redistricting plans and meet with the governor. Last week, a larger group went to California to meet with Governor Newsom. And Busta Rhymes will receive a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame August 1st. The ceremony, featuring Chris Rock, LL Cool J, and Chuck D, will stream live at walkoffame.com as Busta preps his new album, Vengeance. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
Every day, a child in poverty waits for a sponsor is another day of hopelessness. There are thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Just text the word radio to 83393.
Is this the tackle? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It was a good night for both of LA's baseball teams. The Dodgers secured a 5-2 win at Cincinnati. Shohei Ohtani was busy on the base pass. He drove in 2 runs with a double and scored his 100th run on Freddie Freeman's RBI single. Ohtani leads the major leagues in runs scored. 3 homers helped the Angels beat Texas 6-4. Angels reliever Kelly Jansen pitched a scoreless 9th inning to earn his 19th save. Jansen has not allowed a run in 16 straight appearances. Congratulations to NASCAR race driver Bubba Wallace. On Sunday, Wallace became the first black driver to win a race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, home of the Indy 500. The 31-year-old Wallace won NASCAR's Brickyard 400 Cup race. He was blazing the track in a Toyota Camry XSE. Wallace, a native of Mobile, Alabama, won his first race on the NASCAR circuit since 2021. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Made fresh daily in the Mert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
One final conversation today about Comic-Con. You just heard Roye Okupe mention he was there over the weekend celebrating the success of Iyanu, now picked up for a second season on the Cartoon Network and Max. It is the #1 series on the Cartoon Network. Now they got 2 other features being spun off of that. I ain't mad at Roye Okupe, or for that matter, any of the black folk who appeared at Comic-Con over the weekend. In a moment, a conversation with Tyanna Watts, creator of Blaque N Kulture, about all these black folk who were, in fact, at Comic-Con this year. Here's some sound of Queen Latifah this weekend introducing George Lucas.
He revolutionized filmmaking, not just through spectacle, but through a deeply human lens. His magnum opus, Star Wars, has shaped our lives for generations and taught us we should trust our instincts. One person can change the course of history, and the force is always within us. His imagination has lit the path for generations of fans and filmmakers alike. He's the reason we're here today. Please welcome for the first time ever at Comic-Con, give it up for the one, the only, George Lucas!
It's hard to imagine that George Lucas made his first appearance ever at Comic-Con. That's shocking. I guess when you're that big, you can show up when you want to show up or not show up. And when you do show up, you get Queen Latifah to bring you on. You can hear the enthusiasm. It's still going, the enthusiasm of that crowd when they got a chance to see George Lucas. Tyanna, good to have you on the program. How are you today?
I am doing swell. Thank you so much.
It's good to have you on. First of all, tell me about Blaque N Kulture.
Oh, well, very quick story about myself. So I created Blaque N Kulture in 2018, initially as a blog to just showcase all of the really cool nerdy things that I was interested in. At the time in 2018, the nerd sphere isn't like it is now. It wasn't as prominent. We only had a few people that were prominent in the space, and I just wanted to talk about it. And then I was doing that for a little while, kind of going around my local scene, engaging in my local communities. And then COVID hit, and I kind of pivoted my platform to be digital, and I started putting my face on camera. And I then became a content creator myself, talking about Black people doing all sorts of amazing, cool, and creative things within the nerd space, making comics, making video games, doing nerdy, quirky things, and not feeling bad about it.
Yeah, I love that part, not feeling bad about it. Tell me more about the nerd sphere for Black people, about Black people in the nerd space. And I asked that in part because I know you brand yourself as your nerd and is otaku culture expert. Unpack all that for me.
Yeah. Thank you so much for asking. So to be a nerd or otaku culture expert, a little bit complex, but I'll try to break it down easily. So I think a lot of people, when they think about nerd culture, they think of it just as the pop culture itself, just like, oh, it's the movies or it's the comics or it's the figurine collecting.
Mhm.
But actually, it's a lot more in depth. It's the community or surrounding these things. We call it fandom. The fandom that surrounds these huge movies and cartoons, that community is really what makes it a culture. We have our own way of doing things. We have our own way of engaging in things. We have our own lingo that just circulates within our community. And within that community is Black people in there. And we, with being Black people in these communities, the otaku culture is a borrowed word from Japan. Otaku is kind of their word for nerd. But here in the States, we kind of just use it as a way to say that we're really, really into specifically Japanese animation or anime or Eastern media. So when we as Black people engage in nerd and otaku culture, we have a whole different way of going about things. And over time, I've seen us just kind of show our own swagger, show our own energy, and it's just really infectious to see. So I call myself a expert within that field because I've been a nerd my entire life. My dad was a huge nerd. My mom, she won't call herself a nerd, but she also got me into some very nerdy things as well. And of course, I was just surrounded by nerdy things my entire life through my uncles, my friends. So I just have a wealth of knowledge about the nerd community, lived experience wise, and also I've done just a ton of research within the nerd and otaku community. As much history as I can possibly cram into my brain. I've definitely done the research on it.
What do you make of the transformation of that word? There was a time much earlier in my life when to be called a nerd was not a compliment. Now you all gladly embrace this notion of the nerd sphere and the nerd space.
Yeah, I actually think it's really I don't want to say necessarily reclaiming the word because I
Mhm.
think if anything it's more of an evolution.
Right.
And people feeling comfortable to be their authentic selves. I can't necessarily say it for the entire nerd community, but specifically as a Black person within this space, um, feeling othered and ostracized, being quirky, being weird, or othered within your community can be a very isolating experience.
Sure.
Um, and when it's kind of like this idea of you have to live this double consciousness. W.E.B. Du Bois calls it that, where you have to kind of perform Blackness and perform nerdiness. Um, uh, but those things don't have to be mutually exclusive. You can be in anything and be Black. Black, in fact, is kind of the first thing you are, and then all your interests follow after that. So I think watching Black nerds kind of accepting that this doesn't have to be this separate thing that I do other than being Black. I can go to the cookout with my family and wear my Naruto shirt and that be completely cool. In fact, it shouldn't be weird at all. It's just a special interest that I've been dedicated a lot of time to.
Yeah.
So I think us reclaiming this word or accepting this word as us is just more of a way of us accepting ourselves fully and totally unbroken.
Yeah. The other word you mentioned that jumped out at me, and I laughed the minute you said it. I have more friends who have Black kids who are into this anime stuff. And the first time I heard the word, I said, who's anime? Eat this cake, anime. Eat this cake, anime. I didn't know what they were talking about. I thought they were talking about, Tina Turner. Anime. What is anime? So they had to explain this to me. So one of my friends literally sat me down and showed me this stuff. But I have, again, I am cracking up at all of my adult Black friends who have Black kids who are into this anime stuff. So for those who are hearing that word for the first time, I know there are parents listening right now who totally get it. But for those who don't get anime, this word you use, explain that, please, and why it is catching on with Black kids everywhere.
So anime, as I briefly mentioned earlier, is just the Japanese word for animation in general. But when it gets brought over here to the United States, we're specifically talking about Japanese animation. So for people who may be familiar, you may not have any other idea about anything within the sphere, but you've probably heard of something like Dragon Ball Z. You may have heard of something called Naruto. Or if you're someone who watched HBO really late at night, I can't say for myself, but my dad says that Ninja Scroll came on. For anybody who's familiar with any of those titles, that's anime. It's just the style of animation. And I can't quite say why it's caught on amongst specifically Black youth. If speaking from my own experience
Sure.
being a kid and then growing into an adult, I think that anime allowed for a different kind of escapism. It's really difficult to find representation that looks like you. Not to say that anime gives great representation for Black people. Let me just be clear. But the storytelling, the type of experiences that those characters go through in their stories is a lot more in depth than the animation that we were getting when we were kids. It's only more recently that we've had animation that really dives into things that I feel like kids were experiencing at those times, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. I just find it fascinating that so many kids, but again, Black kids. I was like cracking up at all of my friends. I mean, all their kids are into this anime stuff, and I'm like, okay, I need to understand this because if it's becoming a cultural phenomenon, I don't want to be on the outside of it. So I had to get myself versed on what anime is and was. was and why, again, it is catching on in the ways that it is. More of our conversation with Tyanna Watts when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
Yeah. At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you, thank you.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Do Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keep coming back? Tremfya, guselkumab, may help, with rapid remission achieved at 12 weeks and lasting clinical remission at 1 year. Some even saw visible improvement of their intestinal lining at 12 weeks and 1 year. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active Crohn's disease and adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Healing is possible with Tremfya. Approximately 3 out of 10 patients were in endoscopic remission at 1 year, based on areas visualized on colonoscopy, which may not represent the deeper bowel layer or entire GI tract. Individual results may vary. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
It's the Tavis and Tyanna show right about now. Tavis Smiley and Tyanna Watts. She is the creator of Blaque N Kulture and is your nerd and otaku culture expert. So now we've talked about otaku culture. We've talked about Blaque N Kulture. We've talked about the nerd sphere, the nerd space, the nerd community, anime. I'm learning a lot in this conversation. Talk to me about what you made of Comic-Con this year, Tyanna.
And San Diego Comic-Con was just otherworldly. When you're talking about an event as big as an international Comic-Con, like just the amount of talent that is in that place, it's insane. There's really nothing like it.
Yeah. In terms of black folk occupying this space, I've talked about this, a number of times over the course of my career. Of course, it seems to me that that the number of black people tapping into this Comic-Con experience is growing by leaps and bounds every year.
Absolutely. I definitely have to agree. The more I was saying earlier, the more that people continue to just accept the things that they like and don't feel bad about it, the more we're going to see people tapping in. And I think it's also just, people crave to be around creativity and stories. And that's what these spaces are. It's just community. It's just a big community of people sharing their stories, sharing their unique stories. And I also think there's an element of people just really wanting to see themselves represented or to be the representation that they never got to see when they were younger. So I'm loving just just the unabashed Black representation that I'm getting at these events.
You may have just answered it. What has been your personal attraction? What's pulled you into this space?
For me, it always starts with just being a nerd.
Mhm.
I love, the sci-fi, the horror, the comics of it all. That always is going to be like my very first draw. But as I've continued to evolve in my creator career, as a creator going to these events, I'm definitely there to see myself be representation for individuals who are looking for people who look like me there, and also serving as kind of like a safe space, because sometimes entering these spaces can be a little intimidating, and just having that one person in the crowd that looks like you, that kind of that looks like they know what's going on, is really important.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I get to be that these days.
I'm glad you get to be that too. Our remaining moments with Tyanna Watts when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures for young girls. Visit forgivingforliving.org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind: to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my two sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-687-7979. That's 800-687-7979. 800-687-7979.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed for a few more minutes with Tyanna Watts, the creator of Blaque N Kulture. We've been talking about Comic-Con this past weekend and all the black people who were there. The numbers are growing every year as they show up in this space. We just had an amazing conversation at the top of this hour with Roye Okupe, who's behind the the #1 series on the Cartoon Network called Iyanu. So black folk are occupying this space more and more every day, which leads me to ask is my exit question, I think, Tyanna, the way you're reading, not just black people in this creative space, but black people in this creative space as actual creators of content.
I over the especially the last 5 years, I think there has been, as there should be, a hyper visibility of Black people in this space, and I ultimately always am going to think that's a good thing. I think that a lot of people, and I was tuning into Royce's section earlier where he was talking about just doing the thing, just going out there. You see all these people making these wonderful things and you feel nervous to take the leap. And I think that's just what we're seeing right now. All these people who maybe pre-pandemic, post-pandemic were maybe seeing their peers, okay, I want to create the next Star Wars, or I want to create the next big anime. How do I do that? They were really working, educating themselves, because this information up until recently really wasn't accessible. So learning, teaching themselves how to do these skills, and then finally they're putting out their amazing work, and everyone's shocked, but there's nothing to be shocked about. They're putting out, it's the work that they've been putting in. Their inspirations are finally breaking through that bubble, and it's so crazy to see. I've seen projects that just started off as small Kickstarters maybe 5-6 years ago, finally breaking through, and everyone's able to see them, and it's an amazing thing to see.
I think we probably agree here that that this is only going to continue to grow. There's no turning back at this point. I see people tapping in, black people tapping into this space, and my sense is that their impact on this particular part of our culture is only going to grow exponentially in the coming year.
Absolutely. And with the voices that are entering the space, where like sometimes, it is brand new creators, but a lot of times these are creators that are tenured creators that have been in Hollywood or been in the creator space for such a long time, that are now finally getting the opportunity to share their creativity with the world. I think of Cheyenne Iwulu, I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. This weekend, past weekend over Comic-Con, she released the premiere for her trailer, The Comic Shop, which is a project that she'd been working on for a long time. Started off as a Kickstarter. Finally, now she is a showrunner for this thing that she had been idolizing and working on for so long. And I think when we think about these creators, Cheyenne, she was an actress first, and now she's a showrunner, finally getting the opportunity to do the thing. And we're just going to see that coming out more and more and more. Nothing is stopping this creative force, this black creative force that is happening right now.
The force is with us. And I'll leave it there. Ty Watts, good to have you on. Thanks for your insights. All the best to you. Thank you for your time once again.
Absolutely.
Good to have you on. Just like that, 3 hours gone. Back here tomorrow, Lord willing, to do it all over again. Until tomorrow, thanks for tuning in to Tavis Smiley. And as always, keep the faith.